Welcome to the podcast. It's dedicated to making you a faster cyclist, the Ask a Cycling Coach podcast presented by TrainerRoad. I'm Coach Jonathan Lee with our head coach, Chad Timmerman.
Hi, everybody.
Our CEO, Nate Pearson.
Hello.
And once again, with a very special guest with us, John Borton from the UK, TrainerRoad user and Kona qualifier. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
So you've, and for people that I guess don't know about how we do Kona usually, obviously we do these podcasts, and then we also ride with different folks, and especially TrainerRoad users in the morning. And you've joined us for a few rides, which has been a ton of fun. And your wife, who's also here with us right now, Emma, she's also joined us every day.
She's a hammer.
Oh yeah. Stole 2 QOMs this morning, which is pretty awesome. So
yeah, definitely.
So we've had some good time to pick your brain and get in all the nitty gritty details of your bike setup and everything else that you've done to qualify for Kona. And we're going to go through all that now because it's pretty exciting stuff. So, but first things first, let's go into your numbers. That's the first thing. So you have a 330 FTP roughly, you think?
Yeah, roughly. That's
Cool.
what I've been training at recently.
Good, cool. And you're 78 kilograms?
Yep.
Okay.
Last time I weighed a couple of weeks ago.
Okay,
78,
cool.
77.
Puts you at about 4.28 watts per kilogram?
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Okay, cool. How tall are you?
I'm 5'9.5".
5'9".
What's that in centimeters?
176.
Cool. Thank you. He was about to Google it.
That's great. Thank you, John. You're fantastic. So that
That's
gives
about 172.
cool.
Is that right? Pounds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Say that?
Yep. Or yeah, 78 kilograms. Yeah. So somewhere around 172. Very close. Thanks, Chad. Fantastic.
You're welcome.
Let's get into some of the details. So first things first, you qualified at IM Copenhagen.
I'm in Copenhagen. Yeah, that's it.
What was your time and what were your splits?
It was 8:46.
Fast.
Yeah.
Another sub 9 guy.
I know,
That's
right?
ridiculous.
Yeah, the goal was sub 9. So yeah, to go. Then the stretch goal was sub 8:50. So to get to 8:46, I'm very pleased with.
Yeah.
So I did a 1:02 swim, 4:44 bike, and then a 2:50 run.
That's an insane run. Have you done a marathon open before?
After a fast bike, too.
I've done two open marathons.
And
Before. One this year, one last year.
what were those times?
So my first one last year I did 2:53, and then this year I did the Boston Marathon at the beginning of the year. I did a 2:35.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Do you have a running background? How did you become such a good runner?
So at school I was cross country athletics, but I used to play rugby. So the seasons was you played rugby and then you did cross country in the next term, and then you did athletics the next term, or you did cricket. And I was more proficient at running, let's say that. So all through school I was doing that, but I was never at really an overly high level. And then I took a hiatus for my first couple of years of university, and then I started to get back into it. And it just it went from there from 2010 when I started doing triathlon. But I've always been an okay runner, but this year's been the year where I've stepped it up quite considerably for a number of reasons.
How'd you do that?
So I think one of the big things has been consistency. I had quite a specific structure about how I've gone about my workouts. I actually didn't start training for Boston until the end of January because I was injured through December and January. So I think I only ran twice.
Injured
how? I had a calf injury. It was like a small tear, I think it was. We were trying to work out exactly what it was. But physio sorted that out. But for 2 months, I basically couldn't run at all. So I did a lot of working out on the trainer and things like that over the Christmas break, and then started back running slowly from the end of January, which gave me, it was about 12 weeks leading up into Boston. And I just had the structure of, hard run, VO2 max. It was similar to how I do my cycling. So VO2 max style intervals, tempo running, and then long run, and just consistently going through that week on week, and then building up the distance. But even with volume and distance, I didn't go up that high with regards to volume.
So are you saying you ran 3 times a week?
Yeah. So on average, I run 3-4 times a week. Through the tri season, I do a brick on a Saturday. So that makes it 4. But
I want to dive into the Boston thing because this is blowing people's minds. I can't be alone. Okay, so you'd run 3 times a week leading up to Boston. Were you doing cycling too?
Yes. Yeah.
So we talked about this on the ride. Yeah. What were you doing?
So I did. I was going through sweet spot base, low volume, 1 and 2, leading through that. I think I started actually sweet spot base back at after New Year's. So when I wasn't able to run, I was going through that. Then Sweet Spot Base 2 leading up into Boston. So I was doing my bike training on top of the run training leading into the race. And I just followed a very similar structure to what I do in my cycling, which is the same as the plans. It starts with some sort of VO2 max kind of stuff, and then there's some more sweet spot sustained efforts, and then it goes into a longer intervals and things like that. And then a Sunday for me is just an easy long run. And that's something that I changed this year. I used to do my long runs too hard, I think, and this year I've dialed them way back, and all of a sudden I've got a little bit faster. So
do you walk at all during your long runs?
No, not really.
How many miles per week were you running?
So when I first came back, my first week was probably 15, and then my peak was 40. But That's crazy. I only did 40 twice, and the rest average, I probably average around 28 to 32 miles. On
your intense sessions, like, was your quality like quality? Were you going deep and really
so I run with we live in London, so when I'm about on a Tuesday night, there's a running group around Battersea Park, which is a local park in South London, and there's a running group that goes from there who are, let's just say they're particularly fast runners. Like you've got some 2:16, 2:20 marathoners there. So I'm at the lower third, the lower 10.
The slow guy.
Yeah, I'm the guy that's getting dropped after like interval number 2 and stuff. So and they go and do some serious quality. So I've been able to join those guys, and I found that I only think I did like 4 or 5 of those sessions leading into Boston, but obviously they helped tremendously.
Wow. That's amazing.
And they vary the different types of interval structure. Some of them is like 3. It's all mostly time based, but it's like 3 minutes on and 1 minute off, and then some of them are 5 minutes on, and then there's one workout that they do is like 2x5K, and the top guys are absolutely flying around. It's crazy. Yeah.
And those would be your VO2 max day.
That's a hard day. Yeah. And then a tempo run like on the Thursday, Friday, depending on work and stuff like that, and another workouts and things we have going on, and then easy run on a Sunday.
Wow, it's amazing.
Super impressive, right?
Yeah.
So you followed Sweet Spot Base 1 and 2, low volume, and then you went into full distance plans to get to your qualifying position at Copenhagen, right?
Yeah, so I actually emailed you after I did my Boston, and because you were talking about the ramp test and when you should do the ramp test, fatigued and things like that, and I was saying, I can't do the ramp test right now. Like 2 weeks after, I could barely turn the pedals still. I was really struggling. So
what did I say?
He's like, obviously you're trying to do 2:35 marathon. Like you're not going to be able to do the ramp test. But it's still good to have some accumulative fatigue, probably when you're just doing a bunch of cycling. But so it took me about a month to recover properly from Boston. So I kept the FTP the same, and I just started to build back into it with a little bit less structure, and then went into the full distance base plan.
Which volume level?
Low.
What? Someone in the forum asked, I said, you got to ask what plans to use and then what volume. Yeah. So full distance, low, and then what did you do? How did you tweak it? Did you follow it just stock? Did you change days? Did you change the weekend rides?
Right. So the weekday. So I mainly only followed them for the rides. So we have some kickers set up at home, and the Tuesday, Thursday, we would typically do if we can. We'd try to make sure we can fit those in during the week. Mm-hmm. And then when the weather started getting better in the UK, probably not until late June, early, and then through July and August, we'd start riding outside, and then I'd start building in some of the longer stuff when we start getting to Ironman season. Because I did a half Ironman in Finland at the end of June. So you don't need to do too many long rides leading into that, and you can do a lot of that stuff on the trainer. So I would follow just the indoor workouts. And I think actually, when I'm thinking about it now, I think I actually did the middle distance base leading up into Finland, and then I switched it over to the full distance, and I was pulling some of the full distance workouts every now and again into the mid distance plan, just to try and get that blend.
Is that just kind of like based on personal preference, or how did you come to that decision?
Depending on a couple of factors. So how much time I had in the day and how much time we had to do things, and say personal preference of what I felt like doing that day. What did I think that I should be really thinking about, and what time of the year we were in. So leading up into 70.3 Finland, I was probably doing more of the middle distance stuff, and then that was into June, and then I started doing a lot more of the longer distance stuff.
Okay. Maybe we've covered this, and I apologize if we have, but how long have you been in triathlon? So in endurance sports, really, any?
Okay, so I started triathlon 2010.
Okay.
So yeah, and before that I had an injury from when I was 17. I was in a car accident, broke my spine 2 places. Yeah, pretty bad. And then didn't do any sport for like 4 years. And then I was living in Switzerland. I was living with a cyclist, and he was like, why don't you give a triathlon a go, and you can come ride with me on my easy rides. He was like a Cat 1 cyclist, so I was like hanging on for dear life on his recovery rides. And then I did the Zurich triathlon, and I've been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Okay.
Huh. What do you do for work?
I work for an aerospace and defense company.
Okay, cool. So that is a desk job or lots of travel? What's the work like?
Yeah, so I have a desk in London, but I'm probably there once a fortnight.
Okay.
I'm probably away minimum 2 days a week, max 5 days a week, out in sites around the country, around the UK.
Got it.
How do you manage that with training?
With difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the structure.
Well, you're here.
Yeah, it's it. Yeah, well, it's true. So I try as best I can to get my work week to somehow fit in with some sort of training schedule. So if I need to go and fly up to the north of England, then I can try and get in an early morning workout on a Tuesday, and then I don't have to then think about doing another bike workout until I get back maybe on a Thursday or a Friday. If I'm staying in a hotel, I can go and use the treadmills, and I use the Garmin watch and the interval setting on that with a Stride power meter pod, and do intervals with that, which I find really helps with the running side of things. And just try and fit it in as best I can.
And weekends are entirely yours?
Weekends are ours, yeah. Weekends are ours, yeah. We haven't got kids, so it's we try and fit in as much of the volume as we can if you have to, when you start thinking about Ironmans and getting into that sort of stuff. Yeah.
What kind of volume per week were you doing leading up to both your qualifying and this race?
So volume time wise,
Yeah.
across all.
Yep.
So my max training time was about 12 and a half hours. And I looked, it was average probably about 8 to 9.
You're making so many people jealous. I think you're a good example, though,
It's
of
inspiring.
well, in your sessions where you did a lot of quality, it sounds like, and then you added on some easy long stuff. Is that right?
Yeah. When I could, yeah. And I would substitute some of a lot of my teammates and part of the tri club were going out and doing long rides over the summer. I would do 2 hours of sweet spot intervals and things like that. And I'm a big proponent of that. I've been doing it and using TrainerRoad since 2015. And so I found that doing a lot of that sweet spot stuff, you can really start ramping up, and it does help a lot. My go-to Ironman workout back in 2017, when I did my last Ironman, which was Ironman Italy, I barely rode outside training leading into that because I'd been in a crash the year before. So I just didn't want to ride outside. So I just rode inside the whole time, and I could do a 2-hour sweet spot workout. It was 10-minute intervals, and that was my go-to like Ironman prep workout.
Do you remember which workout that was?
I made it myself using your old workout creator.
Oh, it's still there.
Before, yes.
Well, so what was it, like 10 minutes at what percentage?
10 minutes at 85 with I put like 4-minute rests at about down at 50%. I just fitted in as many as I can. I think it's like 6 in there.
So that's very close to another one called Antelope.
Yeah. Oh, so it is. Yes. Yeah.
That's 7 10-minute intervals, and it goes from like 88 to 94, maybe?
Yeah, it's a pretty
top of my
narrow
head.
range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I like that workout. I use Antelope a lot. For
that's
the
great.
hour and a half one, it's like a go-to one when I'm in the off season, just over the weekend ride. That's like the go-to one for me.
I have the same experience where long sweet spot intervals, I felt like I had like really good endurance, and the progression I like is Antelope, Tallac, Galena, Right Peak, and Right Peak goes up
3 by 30.
People are taking notes right now. Just
You do the
Yeah.
you do the plus versions of those, and you can do the 2-hour versions of each one of those. And Right Peak ends with that's not even a plus version; it's just 3 by 30 at sweet spot.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you build up to that and progress, and then
You get to a point where you can do 3 30-minute back-to-back sweet spot intervals. You're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. And one of the big things I used to do with that workout is for that entire 10-minute interval was if I can hold my aero position for that entire interval, then I knew I was on point for race day.
Oh yeah. That's good.
because if it's not in your aero position, it doesn't really count.
No.
For
So-
you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it doesn't count at all.
Not really.
Yeah, you're climbing with us in the aero position.
Yeah, and climbing just as fast as us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
At Copenhagen, do you remember your bike power?
Yeah.
What was
So it was a bit below what I was aiming for. So I did 207 average, and I think it was like 215 normalized. So I was aiming for when I did Italy, I did 2:45 normalized. So I was hoping to get around, and I think my FTP is roughly about the same. So I was hoping around 2:40. But I had my back tweaked coming off the plane going at Copenhagen. So I spent the first 2 days not having my bike for one, but then secondly trying to sort out my back because it fully spasmed on me and wouldn't let me walk around for the first day. It was pretty bad.
But you still did a 4:44.
I got it there. Yeah, with the 2:07 average. Yeah.
What sort of bike course is Copenhagen?
It's a rolling, so it's 3,000 feet of climbing. So it's known for being a fast course.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I think you went to the wind tunnel. Is that right?
I did. Yeah.
So what was your experience there? Why'd you go? What'd you figure out?
So, 30th birthday present for my parents. I went to the Borton Wind Tunnel in Worcestershire in the UK. Really good. So I just bought the bike that I've got now and had it set up. And
Which is?
It's a Giant Trinity.
Awesome. What size?
Small.
Bike.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's a small one. Yeah, it's and it's got the SRAM AXS 12-speed on it with one wire up front.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
It looks cool.
What size chainring up front?
50.
And then what cassette do you have in the rear?
For this race, I've got a 33 to a 10.
Right. So that 50-10 is pretty darn good. That's a lot of speed.
Yeah, comparably, it's the same as a 55-11.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but then you still have the 53, and then you don't have, or 33, and you don't have the complexity of the front derailleur.
And I don't have the aero penalty of the front derailleur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, say, when I was in the wind tunnel, that's one of the big things they said. So I was originally set up in my old bike's position, and that was a CDA of 0.23, maybe just over 0.23. And we went through, I think it was about 15 runs, and by the end of it, I was down at when I'm fully tucked and I've got all the aero kit on. I was down like 195, 193.
And is that a position you can sustain?
I can't sustain it whilst putting power out.
Okay.
It's more of a descending position. So what they made me do is they had my elbows pinching together, and that all of a sudden dropped my CDA from 199 to 193, 195.
Wow.
Just by bringing that together. Yeah.
So when you're descending, you're in that position. When you're putting out power, how does your position vary?
From that one?
Yeah.
So my elbows just spread apart a little bit more.
Yeah.
Everything else stays roughly the same. The head's same position. I can probably tuck my head a little bit more when I'm doing the descending position.
Yeah.
But I've tried it. It's not the most comfortable at the beginning, but it's getting much better.
For those that don't know, that's very aerodynamically efficient.
It's world class.
Yes, yes, it is, Nate. Yeah. For those that don't understand that inside joke, you can listen to previous episodes where we talked to Chris Yu at the wind tunnel and everything else. He actually said, Chris Yu said that very few of the athletes that they work with, and they work with the world's best, very few of them ever get sub 2. So your position is extremely optimized. What are the things that you've done in the wind tunnel to optimize for that to your bike, to the equipment side of things?
Right. So they moved my elbows back. And they lifted my hands up, and we did a lot of positions moving the hands further up and then forward and backwards to see how that played with the vortexes that form in front of your face, basically between your hands and your face. And it's very individual apparently for everybody. Some people it really doesn't work, for some people it really does. So I've got my hands now almost at my eye level, I think. And then that allows me to then drop my shoulders, and my neck sort of just drops into a position that I then just peer over the top of my hands that I've now set to. And then I had to set my elbow pads, the elbow pads for me, because I've got little cups to sort of grab my elbows.
They're not just flat U-shaped things. They actually are spots basically so that they're closed around the back so that his elbows basically have a stop that they can lean against. That's got to be really comfortable, because I know, at least I have a 40 KTT position, a UCI legal one, and as a result, the pads are actually like halfway up my forearm just to be within legality. And I always kind of feel like that's unstable. It's really cool to have bracing.
It's like a horizontal trough almost, and it prevents you from having to do the whole where you twist your forearms and pull into the bars.
Yeah, and then you have a ton of extra stress and contraction that you're doing that's just taken away from
something
pedaling.
You're not going to maintain over the course of 112 miles.
What tires and wheels are you running?
I have some more CDA questions.
Okay.
So what's your CDA for while you put out power?
It's around probably 0.2.
So for people who are not familiar with that, you went from 0.235 down to 0.2. That's a 35 watt improvement, which is crazy. That's like at speed. That's a rule of thumb. To give you an example, Chad and I, when we went, we're about the same. And regular racing, we're about 0.24. And then if we tuck a lot, we're 0.235. So our best is your worst.
Yeah, we scrapped for that little 0.05.
Yeah.
And Jonathan got down to being tucked, I think, 0.195.
Yeah, 0.195.
And you're 0.192.
It was 193 to 195, depending how tucked I could get.
Okay, so you guys are
really
like the
impressive.
Same. Very slippery. That's really fast.
But there's a whole bunch of equipment as well that goes into getting me to that.
Can we hear about it?
Yeah. Let's talk about all the equipment changes that you've done to the bike. Yeah, you can start front to back however you wish.
So start with the helmet. So we tested about, I think it was like 5 different helmets. So my original helmet we tried was not good. Let's say that. I can't remember the exact numbers, but we tried a series of them, and we've now settled on one there was 2 that were similar. It was the Met Drone and the Cask Mistral. And I settled on the Cask Mistral because they were comparatively almost exactly the same. I didn't want to have the long pointy tail, just because as soon as you move your head even a slightest bit, you lose all of the aero gains that you've got. The Mistral's a little bit more forgiving.
Something interesting with that too is if you have something that really does change the shape, or you change your position substantially, you can almost, if you stay in position, the air can actually kind of smooth out and settles into a flow around you. And then when you change that position, the air may take quite some time, if it even ever comes back, to get back into that flow again. So so that's why having a long tail, even if it does make you more aerodynamically efficient, if your head moves around at all, chances are it's not.
And which POC is that in particular? Is it vented?
Oh yeah,
the cask.
It's a cask. Sorry, a cask Mistral. Yeah, it's got 6 vents, so 3 each side of the front, ever so slight ones.
Okay.
So going from the helmet, and then do you use a visor with that, or glasses?
Yeah, glove visor. So I use a visor this time around.
Yeah. And then will you have, what's for skin suit? Did you test that as well?
Yeah, so we tested me in a couple of suits, and I'll be wearing on race day the Roka, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but the Roka tri-suit, essentially, with the Aeroflow lines across it.
Cool.
And it's pretty fast.
Do you remember how much that saved you? How many watts?
Saved me compared to...
Whichever you had before.
So we didn't bring my old suit with me, so I just had it in there, and they just said that it was a really aerodynamic suit.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, he was just like, that suit must be working for you, because the number went down to pretty low, and he was like, well, it's either that suit or something else is going funny with you. So he was like, that suit's obviously working for you.
And that's a long or a short sleeve suit?
Yeah, short sleeve suit. Yeah, just above my elbow.
Down to the elbow. Cool. And 1 piece, not 2 piece?
Yeah, it's a 1 piece. It's a nice one because it acts a little bit like a 2 piece, because the unzips all the way and then it starts to flap.
It's like a 2-in-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that.
Yeah.
I don't even
especially
buy it
for long distance racing.
I don't even buy bibs and jerseys anymore. I just get the 2-in-1. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. And for triathlons, because some of the suits, they just have the zip and it's just one whole piece. The longer you go, I find that they're just really uncomfortable.
I could be wrong. I may be causing some people to get upset with this, which I probably just shouldn't say it, but I'll say it anyway. I think that Roka suit is made by Quare, so I think it's the same ones that we have, actually. So, which is it looks exactly the same. I think it is. So we're used to that experience where it's like unzipping the front and then not having bib straps. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, so much better. What are you using? Are you using gloves, anything like that?
Nope.
Yeah, super rare to see that with triathletes, right?
Nope.
Shoes.
Shoes, I've got the Bont Helix.
Okay.
Yeah, with a single dial. So that was the with a huge carbon like sole. So super good, really good power transfer down to the pedals. I was using the S-Works Trivents before, which are great when you are looking for seconds in transition in Olympic distance racing.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get into 70.3 and Ironman distance racing, I was losing a whole bunch of efficiency through the no-heel cup and the bend and all sorts of good stuff in there. So I'm a big fan of that shoe. And it's heat molded as well, so it's really comfy. I put it on a slipper.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
what about socks? You use socks on the bike?
So I'll be using just a like an ankle sock just to get a bit of comfort because it's a long time out there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and it's just just a CEP. Same brand as I use for running, but for running I use a longer one.
So what sort of?
I use calf guards as well.
Oh, so you slide those on above onto your calf?
Yeah, I will slide them on in transition. Normally I will wear them.
Yeah,
because you can wear them under the wetsuit, but you can't here. So I'll be putting them on in transition. It's the Enduro ones.
Those are not for sun, I assume.
No,
those
they're
are
black.
for aerodynamics.
So definitely, then definitely not for sun. No, they're for aerodynamics. So we put those on, and that saved me. Pretty sure they got me 5 or 6 watts.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Straight away.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, and you get the faster you're going and the faster you're moving your legs, the more gains you get.
Really?
That's what he told me.
So 120 RPM is what's recommended.
120 RPM. All of a sudden,
just spinning like crazy.
Torching up everything else, but at least I'm aero the calves.
What about pedals?
So pedals are the one thing I probably haven't optimized too much. So they're the standard, not the standard, they're the carbon look Kios.
Oh, those are pretty aerodynamic as is, I believe.
They're okay, they're pretty good.
Yeah, at least
they're not the most. They gave me some advice on what to go for the most aerodynamic ones, and they would probably say between 2-3 watts.
What do they recommend? Out of curiosity,
the speed play ones
with the
TT ones with the cover underneath with the dimpled cover. Yeah, that probably give another 2 or 3 watts.
Interesting. Huh, crazy. Into the bike, what big changes did you make as a result of the wind tunnel testing? Other than we talked about the arm position and everything else, but tires, wheels, anything else like that, or different spots where you taped up on a cable or tweaked something?
So I'd already done a bunch of that moving into it. So going into the tunnel, I already taped up a bunch of holes on the frame and on the handlebars. So they didn't specifically say to do anything like that. I'd already got a pair of Zip 808 NSWs, which I'm running the rear here. I'm running the front as a 404 that I've borrowed from a friend because crosswinds in Kona.
Yeah,
I've been told do not ride an 808 up front because that is going to be terrifying. So 404 up front, 808 at the back.
Okay, perfect. What tires are you running on those?
GB 5000s.
And do you know the width and pressure of those tires?
So they're 25 mil, and I'll probably run between 80 and 90 psi. So I run relatively low compared to what most people.
I think most triathletes, but not road riders.
Yeah. And those wheels have a slightly wider internal width, hence using the 25s, I assume. You'll see a lot of people just use 23s, but if you use a 23 on this one, it'll be pretty spread out.
Yeah, and I've read some studies that say that 25s are more aerodynamic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and you can usually run lower pressure with a bigger volume, and they're more
comfortable as well. So holding that aero position, I'll take a bit of aero comfort. I'll take a little bit of a penalty for a little bit of comfort in my shoulders and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's a long day.
It's a long way.
Do you remember what they said as far as, did they tell you what the savings were with the front derailleur? Did you test that at all, without or with?
We couldn't test it, but he just said that's one of the main reasons. Like the bike is obviously very aerodynamic, so
it really is. It's like a clean setup when you look at it. It's just very optimized and all set out
and taped up the hole where the derailleur would go. So smooth airflow over it. If you actually
as you should,
that's it. I put a bit of electrical tape over that.
Okay, if I go one by, I'll do the same.
That's it.
Cover all things, right?
That's it.
Yeah. Honestly, for this sort of a day. So let's get into. We went into a ton of detail on the bike.
Yeah, we just dove in there.
But
we're in the middle.
One big thing though, actually, we need to go over your power meter and then what sort of chain setup you're running.
Okay.
So what power meter do you have?
It's the integrated SRAM one with that axis
cork.
Is it a cork?
Yeah. Okay. And then are you doing like a wax chain or oversized pulleys, anything like that?
No, I haven't got any of that.
Yeah.
Nope.
What sort of chain lube do you use on the chain?
I've got the Muck-Off ceramic C3.
Okay.
Which I find works really well.
Yeah.
I was tempted to try and I bought some wax before coming to the race, and I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
It's way too much work.
It's a lot of work, and too close to the race to really want to give it a go.
And
I might try. I'll probably try it next year. So.
Yeah, and it's a whole thing. That's for sure.
It's well, I've got this. It's the Wendoff one, so it's you can you sort of roll it on.
Yep.
And I'm too close to race day now.
Yeah. Wise choice. Like Nate was saying, right in the middle of things. So let's go back on nutrition to the night before, or I guess the building up the week of.
In general.
Okay.
We're gonna go way back.
Okay.
How do you eat in general?
We're pretty healthy. We try to be. I'm just looking at my future wife over there. We eat pretty well. We know what's the right things to eat and what's not the right things to eat. But we also have a pretty healthy balance about what we do eat. So we don't eat too many. We don't go out and get McDonald's and Burger King. We never go and do that. But we'll go out and get sourdough pizza, and we'll treat ourselves, gelato and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're not counting macros and things like that. We know that we train hard, and so therefore we need to fuel, and we need to also live as well. We're not professional athletes, so.
I was just in
darn
London.
near professional in terms of speed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just in London, and sourdough pizza is huge there. It's everywhere, and it's
amazing,
right?
It's the best.
Like you wouldn't think
crust.
London
I don't know
would
why
have
there is any other crust.
That's it. No, it's incredible.
We don't get it in the
No,
States.
Round Table had it like back in the day, and they're the only ones. And now
It's probably
they
not
don't do
the
it
same
anymore.
experience that what we had.
Probably not. But I'm saying that was the only thing we had.
What do you typically eat in a week? Do you change your diet when you come in like a week before a race like this? Do you make any changes?
No. I try and keep things as consistent as possible. So the breakfast is typically around either a granola with your Greek yogurt and fruit, or some sort of porridge, depending on how hot it is. So here it's been the Greek yogurt, because
Pretty warm.
porridge is not going to be something I'm going to really go for.
Yeah.
Although probably on race day morning I'll probably do that just to get some dense calories in there.
Cool.
But throughout the UK, I'll typically have porridges every morning with almond butter and banana, just to get loaded up on a whole bunch of different macronutrients.
What sort of meal will you eat the night before?
Pasta. That's the go-to.
Yeah. What sort of pasta, and what will you put on it?
It's typically like just a regular bolognese. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. So some sort of bolognese, whether it be meatballs or just ragu or something like that, but with any sort of pasta.
And you find that here no problem. You don't have to bring your own food or anything.
I haven't. No,
Okay.
no. I've thought about it a few times, but I've never jumped in.
We're not so remote.
No, I'm not going to that level of trying to control things.
This is
Thought
important.
about it.
So today's Thursday. You race on Saturday. Where are you going to get your lunch and dinner? Because it's hard. All the athletes are freaking out. Do you have any plans around that?
So we've got a big house with my whole family's out here. So and some friends are out here. So we've got a big place. So we're just gonna eat there.
You control it yourself.
Control ourselves.
That's the best. Stay in.
That's an easy way to do it.
Always cook for yourself when you have the
And
option.
actually, throughout this entire week, I think this lunchtime was the first time we've actually eaten out properly this trip. So we've been pretty good around that.
Yeah. When you mentioned race morning, you said you'd be having oatmeal. What will you be putting in there? Anything?
So I'll probably go find some almond butter and banana, and that's typically what I'll put in it. So we probably like a mixture of regular rolled oats with some steel cut oats, and then just a big dollop of almond butter and a big banana in there.
That sounds good. Is the cooking time messing up when you do steel?
rolled oats and
Steel cut. And steel cut.
Just put them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I cook it to the steel cut.
get a different texture. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, and it just blends together. I think
It's a pro tip. I'm excited.
It's good.
So because the rolled ones do quicker, so you just do it to the.
Nate will be right back. He's going to go.
I know. We have it here. I'm like, I want to try this out. You've just changed my world.
Nate eats a lot of oatmeal, for those that don't know. So
Yeah.
that's an exciting development.
Any more oatmeal tips? Forum.trainer.com, please.
It's a new thread coming up right now. It's
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the oatmeal
absolutely. And that's worth saying too. You can go John Borton on forum.trainerroad.com if you look that up, BORTON, and you'll be able to find all the information that we mentioned on this podcast. In between race morning and then getting to the start, will you have, or I guess when the gun goes off, so to speak, will you have anything? Will you be taking in any nutrition?
I'll probably have a bottle with me. I'll probably have a Martin, probably the 320 in there, and I'll be sipping on that throughout the whole morning. Up until race start, and some majority of the time I will take a goo gel with a caffeine, and just to give myself this is a chocolate outrage one, just has a little bit of caffeine just for the swim, just gives me enough calories to get through the swim, and then gives me enough to get through the first 10-20 miles on the bike.
Have you tried those new caffeinated gels from Martin?
No, I have. I've got them. I haven't tried them yet.
Yeah.
You should try them on Saturday.
Not doing that.
Day of World Championships. First
No,
up.
I'm not doing that.
What time will you wake up on Saturday?
Probably about 4:30, 4:45.
And what time's your wave start?
6:55.
Okay.
We have to be out of transition. I think it's 6:20.
Okay. Okay, so getting into the swim, what's what I guess what swimsuit will you be using, or will you be using one?
Yeah, I've got a skin, so I've got the Roka Pro Viper X
Okay.
skin. So it's actually, again, it's a short sleeve. So I had the choice of either sleeveless or a sleeve. I went for the sleeve. So, and I used it in 70.3 Worlds at Nice, and which was quite nice because on the race morning they switched it from a wetsuit to a non-wetsuit race.
Wow!
So I got to try it out, which was quite nice.
I was just talking to Jonathan about this. How often does that happen? Like, how many times have you used that? Your skin?
I bought it before Nice, just in case, because they were saying that on the margin, and I was like, well, if they need it, I can try it, and I'm going to need it in Kona anyway. But it doesn't happen too often in races. Normally you can tell, but I've been involved in a few races now in my career that have,
So it's a good thing to have then.
Yeah, it's always good to have one just in case. I had one year I raced, when was that? 2014, I raced in Silverman, which is the one that used to be in Henderson in Nevada.
That's our neck of the woods.
That's it. It was, the last year they did it. And I was living in the States at the time, and I had the TYR suit. And they told us on race morning, they told us the night before this, it's not going to be a wetsuit swim. So, no wetsuits. And then race morning comes along, we get on the bus, and they said, oh yeah, it rained at Lake Mead overnight, and now the water temperature dropped 3 degrees, and now it's wetsuit swim. And I've only got my skin. So it went the other way. So it has happened. It can happen.
How much does your skin save? How much time do they say it saves? I forget. Is it like a couple minutes?
Yeah, it's a couple of minutes.
On the Ironman.
It's hard to compare. So I did 33 in 33 minutes for the Nice swim, and I genuinely think the course was long. I have sources to back that up.
It's pretty slow. Pretty slow swim.
That's it. And out on the sea. That's it.
Nobody picked up on that.
We're going to test right now.
I was being sarcastic.
That's it. And but it's I thought it was it seemed to work pretty well.
And in no way restrictive.
No.
Okay.
So because I got the long sleeve jersey, it just goes over the top of that.
Do you have goggles that you prefer, a certain type?
So at the moment I'm using some Arena ones.
Okay.
I move around between them, Zogs, Arena, Roka. So
got it. Getting onto the bike.
Yep.
We didn't talk about the nutrition side of things. We talked about all the equipment side of things, but let's talk. One equipment thing we didn't touch on: your saddle. I think. What saddle do you have on?
I have the ISM PN 3.0.
How are you going to be carrying your nutrition on the bike?
There's a little box at the front on the Trinity, just behind that's integrated in there. There's a space to put stuff in there, and so I'll be putting Cliff bars and things in there, and some Cliff shot blocks.
Okay, yeah. What are you planning to eat on the bike, or how are you getting your calories? Better said.
Yeah, so I'll have Martin 320 up front. I'll have Martin 320 at the back. So I've got a behind the saddle bottle as well, with a pouch over it with all my spare stuff, all the inner tube and tire levers and gas canisters and stuff all around there, so which is quite nice and narrow. That's a nice aero.
So you'll have to reach back for that bottle, right?
That bottle, just grab behind it. I've practiced. I can hold it. No, because I've got the integrated bottle up front.
Oh, integrated.
I have to pull. But I've practiced reaching around and grabbing it, and I can grab it and put it back.
Staying in the aero position.
Yeah, it's not too
good
bad.
Good for you.
And then
that's good.
It is.
It took me a while. It took me a while to get it right. It was first couple of times, especially in that it's tight at the beginning. So to get it out, just a couple of twists, but it comes out.
For those who don't know, that's a pro move. Like the pros do it, but not many age groupers can do that.
It's not an easy get.
So. Yeah. And I'll have I'll have an aero bottle on the frame as well with Precision Hydration 1000 in, just so I have a blend of calories, of liquid calories and liquid electrolytes.
So you'll have a nose cone water storage area that you'll be drinking from.
Yep.
Does that have like a straw that you can basically drink from? Then you have a bottle on the back and then a bottle in the frame.
Yep.
What will you'll have Precision Hydration 1000
in
the bottle. Then what will you have in each of the other, I guess, in the one behind and then the nose
Martin
cone?
behind, and what's in the...
Both of them
are Martin 360.
Both of them are Martin 320, yeah.
Or 320. There's no 360.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Just a little bit extra.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Do you have a goal of how many calories per hour to eat on the bike?
No, I've nothing specific like that. I know what sort of works, and I'll just make sure I'm eating consistently. So every 45 minutes... So half an hour, 45 minutes, I'll make sure I'm eating something. So I'll have I'll try and eat only solid foods and then drink the Martin. So I'll have Cliff bars and I'll have the shot blocks, and I'll just make sure that I try and get through those quite a bit. So I'll probably get through about maybe 2 or 3 Cliff bars, and I'll probably get through a packet of shot blocks.
You've got to be getting in somewhere around 100 grams of carbs an hour, I would assume. Probably over if you're taking in all that.
Will you track it on Saturday and let us know?
When you're riding,
when
you're riding,
post race, I'll let you guys know. Yeah.
No. When you're riding, we need a live report. Yeah.
Just text us.
Text us.
Go on the forum. What is your power target for Saturday?
So normalized will be 225. So I've planned to go, because that's about 0.69 IF for my
0.68.
0.68 IF.
Yep.
So it's
Jeez.
they would say for the pushing the pace in an Ironman, you're aiming at 0.75. I'm because of the heat here, I'm going to go a bit more conservatively. Plus, it's still more than I did in Copenhagen. So and I had a decent run there. So I'm thinking maybe I probably wouldn't have run there if I'd hit my power target. So and it actually worked out okay. So it is that balance. You can probably push too hard on the bike and overstretch it, and then really blow up on the run.
Funny the things you stumble onto. Being limited.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the performance of all three disciplines are so codependent.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, are we ready to transition into
the run?
Yeah. Cool. Shoes. What shoes will we be using?
The Nike Vaporfly 4%.
Ooh,
Brand new ones.
The disposables.
Yes, apparently. That's it.
They do not last long.
No, 100 miles. That's
really?
That 125 is what my last ones lasted. I've used them from Boston onwards, and they bend now. So
there's a carbon plate in it, and it loses its spring, and that's why it's so expensive. It's like, well, it's $250, but I mean, if you're only using them for like 5Ks and it's 100 miles, you
get a lot out of them.
You get a lot of 5Ks, right?
Yeah.
But marathons, like 4.
Clearly, it's a race shoe. It's not a training shoe.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I haven't raced. I didn't train in. I tried the 4% of my first pair. I tried them before Boston once. And then I had a training shoe that I used throughout, and then I only tried them on a race day, and then I've only used them for racing since.
What do you use for a training shoe?
I've got a few. So I used the Hoka Carbon X, which is, again, it has a carbon plate in it, but it's a lot cheaper than the Nike one. And actually, I really like that shoe. I haven't tested it against each other, but so I don't know if they're the same or not.
Yeah.
But I do run in that a fair amount. I do lots of my interval work in that, especially if I need an extra oomph to try and get on the back of the fast group.
Okay. And what sort of shoe is that? High cushion, high stability? What?
It's got a little bit of cushioning. It's got a fair amount of cushioning. It's got a fairly wide plate, but it has another carbon plate running through it, so it's fairly fast. And then I use the Turbo 35 Pegasus is at the moment my go-to training shoe. And then I have some trail shoes that we use to run in the trails in Richmond Park area.
Do you find that the Pegasus is similar to the 4% that you use?
Oh no. No. They have a very different feel, but I think it's still fast. It's a really good shoe. Big fan.
Interesting. So how will you be carrying your nutrition, and what do you plan to eat
on the run?
Yeah.
So I will have my gels, because I'll switch to gels for the run. I'll have them in my bag, and I'll be sticking them in my pockets and in my top. Because actually, when I did Nice, I put them in my pockets, and 2 of them fell out.
Oh, no.
I'm not letting that happen again. So I'm going to make sure that they get in somewhere. And
be chasing around gels in there.
What I might do is actually I've got 2 number belt choices. I have the no pins aero one, which is when you need to wear the belt on the bike. You can it basically you put the number into a pouch, and then it velcros to the back, so it's nice and narrow. Cool. Yeah, it's very nice. That's really fast. Yeah. But if you don't need to wear it on the bike, then you can just wear a regular one. So I have a regular one that has loops in it, which is what I did in Copenhagen. And so I put 2 Martin gels per loop. I had 4. I think I had an extra one then in my bag that I picked up and put in the pocket. And that's how I'll probably carry it. So I'm pretty sure for Kona that we don't have to wear the number belt on the bike. So I'll probably go with the looped number belt and then carry my nutrition on that, just because it made it super simple in Copenhagen.
And you'll be just taking in gel in terms of like the things you're eating, and I say that in air quotes.
On the run? Yeah. So I got the Martin gels. Okay. And I find them, I use them in Boston, I use them in 70.3 Finland, I've used them in Copenhagen, I use them in 70.3 Worlds, and they all work. It worked really well.
So no aid station nutrition other than water and sponges.
I'll take I definitely ice. I've been told definitely ice in Kona. They'll be like scooping up the ice, shoving it in my hat, all that sort of good stuff. Sure. But probably water to compensate the calories and the carbohydrates from the gels. Don't want to overload the stomach.
And are you planning on carrying your water, or just getting it from aid stations?
Getting it from aid stations. So they're pretty frequent in Kona. So it'll be. I can always. It's a nice thing to try and aim for. So no, I won't be carrying water. So I might grab a bottle and carry it for a bit, but I won't actively choose to carry one.
I think it's almost one every mile, right?
Yeah.
It's like really a ton. Frequent. You do an Ironman event, it's the best nutrition buffet ever.
Pretty well supported.
Yeah. Mountain bike races could learn a thing or two.
Right. Mountain bike races that they're not set up.
Every race is not an Ironman.
Yeah. Every mile. If it's every mile, then that'll be fine.
It's like that or 1.2. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
Will you be wearing anything for shade on your head, anything like that?
I'll probably be wearing this hat.
I'm
I'm pretty sure I'll be wearing this hat. Yeah,
nice.
It says TrainerRoad on it.
Yeah, it does say TrainerRoad. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it's got a nice big. It's good. I like the venting. This sort of venting. I ran in a hat very similar to this the other day. My last interval workout out here in Hawaii, and it worked really well from the venting perspective, and it'll hold the ice really well. So
yeah,
and it nice big cap, so keep the sun off the face and off the back of the neck as well, because be moving it around depending on where the sun is on the day.
Yeah, yeah. Will you be pacing by any sort of will you be using the stride, or will you be going for pace? How will you work that out?
So I'll have the stride on, but I don't typically run to the stride. I like to, at the moment, I'm still trying to understand it.
Get that data.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand how it works and how I can use that data moving forward. So I'm starting to get a feel for it. So I sort of know what numbers I should be sort of looking at. So I know what I did in Boston. I know what I've done at 70.3 Worlds. It didn't work in Copenhagen, which is a bit of a pain. So I don't have that data because that would be really nice.
Yeah.
But I'll be going off a pace. So I have a target for the run.
Yeah. Which is
to do sub 3 hours for the run. Putting it out there right now.
You can do it.
It's out there.
You can do it.
Yeah.
So, where will that put you in age group overall run split?
So the winning, I had to look actually. So the winning run split last year was the overall winner who did 250, but then I don't think more than 10 people went under 3 hours.
That'd be exciting. So will you be? Do you have any plans on do you plan on walk running at any point through it? Are you anticipating that?
Not planning on it.
Sound like John plans to walk ever.
It's fast.
That's it. So in Copenhagen, I only had to walk once, and it was solely just a suit malfunction where I had undone the zip a little bit, and there was a rule that said you couldn't undo it all the way, so it was flapping, and it just undid itself all the way down to the bottom, and I couldn't get it done up when I was running. So I stopped at an aid station. I was walking to do it back up, and then I stopped to go up a drink, and then I carried on again. That was the only time I walked in Copenhagen.
So you laugh about that, both you guys did, but Hal Higdon has a story that his son ran a 220 marathon.
I'm not laughing at all. But based on a comment he made earlier, he's not the guy who plans to walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we were laughing at. Yeah.
Hal Higdon's son did a 220 marathon where he walked all the aid stations in a marathon.
I'm all for it. Those little walk breaks.
So I'm just saying,
amazingly reinvigorating.
It's and I say I used to do that all the time, and it will probably happen here in Kona. Say I haven't raced here, so I don't know. This is my first time here, so I don't know how that heat and the humidity is going to get to me on the run. So it might be that when I'm down in the energy lab, I'm pointing over in the general direction of it. I might be walking through some of the agents just to make sure I get the ice and the water, and I'm actually keeping myself cool and things like that, making sure I'm getting the nutrition in.
Staying cool.
Yeah, doing everything I can to try and mitigate any of those losses and then get going again. But my plan will be not to walk and to be. I mean, there's a great video. If you look on Instagram, there's a great video of Patrick Langer running through an aid station. He's literally grabbing
the Coke bottle
and chucking
it on.
He grabs the 2 liters of
that's
from a person's hand and then dumps it over his head.
It's let me describe 2 liter. One of the volunteers was pouring it into a cup, and he reaches over, grabs the whole liter of the 2 liter thing, and then drinks it, and then pours it over I a mile from the finish or something. 2 miles.
He was either extremely
disconnected
hot
from reality
or extremely disconnected. Yeah.
I say, but you watch the pros when they run through the aid stations; they are just efficient. He picked one of the ones, the video I'm talking about. He picked up 8 cups, running through just bang, bang. Drank one over the head, drank another one over the head, down the suit, gets some ice, sponges in, and then he's off every time. And he didn't break stride the whole way through. So,
Chris McCormick used to do that. He would go in front of everybody and get all the drinks just so his competitor behind could get none.
Just clear the table.
No, because they put their arms out. So he would just knock them all out and just grab them all. Didn't care. It worked.
Yeah, he won. He was a savage competitor.
Strategy. I mean, hobble your competition.
He's using them, right? He's pouring them on himself and stuff, but
using them.
Did I do that?
Yeah, exactly. So one thing that we've been asking people is, what sort of meal will you be dreaming of during the run? What's your spoil yourself sort of meal?
You should probably ask first, do you have one? Because a lot of these people, that's the last thing they want to think about is food.
That's interesting. Yeah, no. So my go-to food after a race is pizza. It's I'm a big fan of it. It's probably my favorite food.
It's the best food ever.
Yeah, so we probably have it at least once a week, if not once a fortnight. Anyway, and just a big fan of it. Oh yeah, it won't be the same here, but it'll be equally as good, and it will taste even better because I'll have finished the IronMan Hawaii. So
I think someone should go in the forum and tell us where the best pizza in Kona is. Because we don't know the answer.
Or where any sourdough crust pizza.
Well, that would be great.
In Kona, that's a big ask.
Without traveling too far.
Yeah.
We live in Reno.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So the other thing that we want to ask is your picks for the pro men and pro women winners. Yeah. Who do you think is going to win?
Ask this. It's such a good question.
Pro women's side.
Can you give a top 3 for each?
Give a top 3?
Yeah.
I could give a top 3.
No, let's do the winner.
The winner.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the top. Well, do it. First, second, third.
Yeah. Go
second,
3, 2,
third.
1. We've clearly worked this out ahead of time.
Great to say, yeah. So for the men, I'm going to go with, let me think, Sebi Keenlay, probably third.
Oh,
For
awesome.
third.
Yeah, I think it's going to, and then Alistair Brownlee, and then Frodeno.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I like that.
Yeah, and I
like
think
that a
it'll
lot.
be a battle between them. How the Keenlay's run split at 70.3 worlds
He's looking
just
so
blew
good.
my mind.
Yep.
Second fastest run split on the day.
That's what happens when he's not injured.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be. I'm a little bit jealous of everyone who gets to watch the race.
Yeah.
I'm going to see it coming the other way. So I'm going to be like looking at it, like trying to figure out what's going on,
Right.
Whilst trying to keep moving forwards at the same time.
What about female?
So on the female side, I can't see anybody beating Dana Reed. Yeah,
So hard to see that.
I was when they split the male and the female by day, so I was able to watch the female race, and I couldn't believe how easily she got away from people on the bike, and then how well she ran and how comfortable she looked running at that pace. Because she did, I think it was a 117 or 118 on the day. It's so fast.
When she was moving through people last year on the bike, it looked like they were doing it different. They were riding and then she was racing. Like it genuinely looks. Yeah,
it's
Pretty
crazy.
stark contrast.
But I think Laura Phillip, who's a Kona debutant as well, I think she will be in a good chance for a podium. I think she'll do really well.
So
and then
Lucy for second, and then
then Lucy Lucy will obviously be there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
okay.
That'll be interesting to see. John, thank you. It's
Appreciate
exciting
it.
stuff. We'll be cheering for you on course. Everybody listening to this, you'll also be cheering for him, I'm sure. Once again, head over to forum.trainerroad.com and you'll be able to get all the information for this episode. And we'll also end up putting up a link on race day so that you can follow all these athletes. You'll see links up there. We have a 2019 Kona thread. We'll put it in there as well as the individual episodes. So people will be able to actually see this. You'll be listening to this on a Friday or thereafter. So you may even be listening to this on race day. It's pretty exciting stuff, man. I'm excited to see how you do. And I'm shooting. I'll be cheering so hard. We'll be down on the run course too. We'll be cheering for you to hit your sub-3 goal on the marathon.
Appreciate that.
That'd be
You
amazing.
have to.
It's true. Actually, just make it happen and it works out. Yeah.
That's it, right?
It's like what we do with power. Just make it say 400 and it all works. Yeah. Thanks, John.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.